Hello everyone, welcome once again to the second video or the second episode of Excel Mastery Series. So in this particular video, we will be talking about the Excel interface or the overview. We'll be explaining to you how the interface of Excel look like, and you're able to see some of the interface, some of the things that you have in Excel, some of the tools that you'll be using even in this particular Excel. So as you can see what is open. So first of all, let me assume that you don't know how to open Excel. So what do? I Let me close this one for now. Let me click on let me say don't save for now. I've closed. So let's say I don't have this one and you want to open Excel. How do you go about? You come here, you can click on this and then you search Excel that way. Then you can click on, double click, then it opens that particular Excel based on the version that you are using. Then I click on blank. So I've opened Excel. So this is how to go about when you want to open Excel. Then the next thing that I want us to do is, let's say for example, we want to change this particular Excel. By default, it will always take the name of the main account in that particular computer you're using. For example, if I have borrowed a computer, let's for example, I'm using a computer from, let's say, a person named Mercy. What will happen is that if I create Excel file in that particular laptop and then I send to someone else, it will always show that the author of that particular Excel file is Mercy and not me. So how do you go about this one to change this one? So you may want to change that particular Excel so that it will reflect your name. Because now maybe for example you are called John and then you're using Mercy's laptop. So you want to change so that this particular document you are working on or this particular file you're working on, when you send to someone else, they're able to understand that this file was created by John and not Mercy. So how do you go about that? You click on File in your Excel, you click on File, and then you go down here and then you click on something called Options. When you click on Options, you're able to see the username. This is the username. You can be able to change this BL to, for example, we say John. So John, and then we click on OK. So this means that once we create this particular Excel file and we send to another person there, they will be able to see and know that it is John who created that particular Excel file. All right, let's move on to the next thing that I want you to show you each and every part of this Excel. So the first thing that I want to show you is what you call the title bar. As you can see here, was written book 1-Excel. This particular section of Excel, we call it title bar. So we call this part title bar. And then there is some icons here. Now, the first one is what we call application icon. It's an Excel kind of icon. It's called application icon. Now, from the second icon all the way to this part is what we call quick access toolbar. We call this part quick access toolbar. What does quick access toolbar has? So this quick access toolbar contains the commands that you frequently use. For example, undo, redo, save, open, email, all those kind of quickly, some of the icons that you use more frequent. Now, the same thing is that for this quick access toolbar, you can be able to customize how you want it. For example, I click on this particular drop down here and I'm able to see what I have. Just a minute again. I click on this one, I'm able to see these are the icons that I can add. For example, new. Look at this particular icon added. Click on this and click on open. Another icon is added. I click this one, I click on even email. Another icon is added. So I can customize it to have exactly what I want, the frequently used icons, which I need to be using more frequent. So for example, since I have this icon on new, if I want to open a new Excel, I don't have to go all the way by clicking on file and click on new. I just click on this icon, and what automatically happens is that it automatically opens that particular new Excel file. All right, so we can even remove the icons. You can come here and check the box for email. Now it's gone. And check for save, it's gone. And check for open, it's gone. You can be able to see that one. So that you're able to customize your quick access toolbar. Let's move on to the next thing. As you can see here on this other side, we call this one minimize button. This one we call it minimize button. This other one we call maximize button. Then we call this one a close button. So this close is different. So when you click on this particular close button, is we close the entire Excel application. So we click on X, it will close the entire Excel application. So we are done with that. Let's move down a bit. There is what we call file, home, WPS insert, draw, page layout, formulas, data review, view, help, and acrobat. So all these are what we call tabs. We call them in Excel, we call them tabs. So for example, we have file tab, home tab, WPS PDF tab, insert tab, draw tab, among all these others. That's what we call the tabs. Once you click on the tab, there is something, no, I'm sorry, when you click on the tab, for example, home tab, there is what comes. And this one is called a ribbon. We call this one ribbon. Whatever that you see here is called a ribbon. If I click on insert, whatever comes still is called a ribbon. But now, I believe you're able to see, I click here, the ribbon disappear. When I click on this one, it appears. But I will want to have it remain permanent. What do? I will just go here. What you see, this arrow pointing downwards, and then not this one. I have to click first of all the ribbon. Now this arrow pointing downward here. I click on this one. I click on always show ribbon. So when I do that, my ribbon will always be seen. Even if I click something different, it will always be there permanently. So that is able to do about the ribbon. So let's move on to the next thing. That is what we call this other part called the columns and rows. So I want to explain. Whenever you see this one that goes down that are labeled with alphabets, these are what we call columns. In Excel, these are what we call columns. So for example, column B, column C, column D, these are what we call columns. Now, what is labeled in numbers is what we call rows. For example, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, all the way. So we have different number of rows and we have columns. This brings us to the next thing of what we call a cell. The question comes is, what is a cell? A cell is the intersection between the column and the row. For example, if I click on this part, this is where column D and row number 7 meet. For example, let me put a color on it. Yes, this particular yellow cell. This is where column D and row number 7 meet. It forms a cell here. This cell is called D7. Why do we call D7? We are calling D7 because it is column D, row number 7. So it is D7. That's why we're calling that way. Then, so that is what we call a cell. And in that case, if I select that cell, it becomes something else called active cell. So what is an active cell? Active cell is a selected cell. We call it active cell. Now, when you select a cell, you are able to see the name of that cell even without you figuring it out on your own. For example, if I click here, I don't need to figure out and look at it is in column F, row number 7. I don't need to figure even that one. What I just do, I click on the cell and I check on this other part called the name box. This cell is called name box that has the name of the cell selected. So this brings us to what we call the name box. Yes. The next thing that I want us to see is the what you call the when you scroll down, when you go down here, you're able to see something called sheet one. You're able to see sheet one. Yes. Now there is two arrows. So now let me just have this sheet one. This is the first worksheet. So each and every you can when you open your Excel, you can have several worksheets in one workbook. So when you open Excel, you are opening a workbook. This workbook can have several other worksheets, which in this case, for example, we have sheet 1, we can have sheet 2, sheet 3, all the way to the number of worksheet that you can have. So for example, in this sheet 1, I can be able to add another one here. And then I have sheet 2. I can click another one here. I have sheet 3. So I now have sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet number 3. Okay, just a minute. Sorry for what I did. So I have sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. What can I do with this particular sheet? I can be able to rename it. For example, I right click this one. I can be able to rename this sheet. For example, rename this one from sheet 1. Maybe you can say student grades. For example, student grades. And then this sheet 2, we can be able to say parents. There, for example, parents list. You see, I can be able to rename this kind of sheet. So we have sheet 1, sheet 2. And I can be able to, no, not sheet 1 again now. Student grades and parents list worksheet. So I can be able to have several of them. So each of them allow you to work with data independently, but having in the same workbook. What else can I do with this particular sheet? I can come here and I can click on delete. I can click on even delete this particular worksheet. When I click on delete, it will be deleted. But before that, I don't want to delete for now. Let me show you something else. Let's say I want to move this particular sheet tab, maybe to be the last one. Instead of having sheet 3 to be the last one, I have student grade to be the last one. There are two ways I can be able to do that. I can right click this one and click on move or copy. And then I click on move to end. Click on OK. Now that particular sheet tab is moved to the last one, to be the last one. Let's do the same for this one. But now this time around, we are not using we are not right clicking and click on move. We will just right click, drag. You see, I'm dragging it up to this point. So those are the two ways I can be able to use to move the tab, the worksheet tab. So those are the two things I can be able to do. Then also you can be able to navigate here. For example, is it working? No, in the case where we have a lot of many sheet, for example, sheet 4, sheet 5, let me have many of them I can be able to show you. Let's say I have many of them. So I can be able to navigate with this particular arrow. You see, I can navigate this way with this arrow, or I navigate back this way. So this is allow me to be able to navigate in the case I have a lot of worksheets. So that is about that. Next thing you're able to see here is what you call, also here we have what you call status bar, where we have the view mode normal, we have the page layout, look like this one, or even the page break preview, which look like this one. So by default, we are always on this, the first one. Then here we have what you call the zoom slider, whereby I can be able to zoom. You see, I can be able to zoom it, making it big, or I can be able to zoom out, making it small. So that is what I can be able to do. Next thing I wanted to show you is what called the backstage view. The backstage view. When we click on file, there are options you can be able to see here. There are options you can be able to see. We call this part a backstage view. For example, there is this part written new. This one is for creating a new workbook. This is for creating a new workbook. Then there is this other option, open. This open is for opening existing workbooks. For example, existing Excel workbook. And then there is this info that has more information about the Excel in terms of how can you protect this particular Excel, how can you manage, how can check whether there is some issues about this one. And then you have the save button. We can be able to save the changes you have made in your Excel workbook. Then we have the save as, which you can use to save your Excel workbook in different file formats, in different file names, in different file locations. Then let me not talk about this save as a PDF that are custom ones, not all of us we have. Then we have the print, which allows you to be able to print your Excel file. So those are the options that we have for Excel. That are some of the interface, how it look like. I look forward to seeing how we can be able to apply all these. For example, there is Home tab, what we have in Home tab, and how we'll be able to use all of them. What we have in Insert tab, and how we are going to apply each of these. I believe to this point you have had an idea of the interface of Excel and how it look like. So let me stop here for today, and then we meet next time for the next video that will be exploring each and every tab and how we're able to use them, especially in working with our data. One thing I think I forgot is this part called formula bar. This formula bar allow us to be able to have some formulas. For example, if sum, average, max, hyperlink, count, and sin, which is sign. Yes. So this, I think I had forgotten that one, but I think I've mentioned. But we'll explore all of them even as time goes by. To this point, I must say thank you so much for being patient to have worked and have watched through this particular lesson to this particular far. Thank you so much. See you next time. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and even share with your friends. I promise you it will be fun and satisfying. Don't miss out on the next video. Bye-bye.